The Chicago Bears are looking to put last week behind them and turn the page quickly because Week 2 brings a massive challenge against the Detroit Lions. After letting a golden opportunity slip away in the opener against Minnesota, this matchup becomes even more critical. No team wants to start the season with 2 straight losses, and in the NFC North, falling into that early hole can be devastating. The numbers are there for everyone to see. Teams that begin 0-2 rarely make the postseason, so the urgency for Chicago could not be higher. It is not about panicking, but it is about recognizing the reality of the situation. This game against Detroit is one of those defining moments in the early part of the year, a clash that can swing momentum back in your favor or send you spiraling. Last week, the Bears held control for stretches against Minnesota, but could never land that knockout punch. Opportunities to turn the lead into a 3-score cushion slipped through their fingers. And when you leave the door open in this league, someone is going to walk right through it. That someone was J.J. McCarthy, who rallied the Vikings and left the Bears stunned in the final quarter. The lesson is clear: finishing matters. Now, with Detroit looming, the Bears need to prove they can close a game out against an opponent that has both talent and motivation. For the Lions, Week 1 was a nightmare of their own. They were handled easily by the Green Bay Packers, a game that was essentially decided well before the final whistle. That 27-6 deficit in the closing minutes made the late touchdown meaningless. Still, it would be a mistake to read too much into a single performance. Detroit has proven over the last 2 seasons that they are no longer a pushover. Dan Campbell has transformed that culture, and this group still believes it can win the division. If anything, their Week 1 embarrassment might serve as fuel. Facing Chicago at home gives them the perfect stage to bounce back, especially with the added storyline of former Lions coordinator Ben Johnson now standing on the opposite sideline. That subplot adds a fascinating edge to this matchup. Johnson played a massive role in building Detroit's recent offensive success, and his departure was felt immediately in the opener. For him, walking back into Ford Field as the head coach of the Bears is going to be emotional, even if he tries to downplay it. The Lions players have already made it clear that he will not receive a warm welcome, with Amon-Ra St. Brown even saying he plans to lead the boos the second Johnson steps on a field. There is no bitterness between Johnson and Campbell on a personal level, but let's be real. The Lions hate that he stayed inside the division. They know he understands their personnel, their tendencies, their strengths and weaknesses. That familiarity gives Chicago an edge, but it also guarantees that Detroit will come out swinging with extra motivation to prove they can thrive without him. Injury news only adds to the uncertainty heading into this one. For Chicago, defensive back Kyler Gordon and veteran lineman Grady Jarrett both missed practice during the week, and their availability looks slim. Running back Roscoe Johnson, wideout DJ Moore, and linebacker TJ Edwards have all been limited at various points. The Bears could use every one of those guys because the Lions' offense, even without its best rhythm in Week 1, still has explosive pieces. For Detroit, the main concern revolves around left tackle Taylor Decker, who has been managing a shoulder problem. They expect him to play, but he has not been practicing, which could leave him vulnerable if Chicago's defensive line finds a groove. These health questions will shape the matchups across the field. On paper, Detroit holds the upper hand in several areas. Dan Campbell is a proven leader who has already guided his team to an NFC championship game, while Ben Johnson is only beginning his journey as a head coach. Jared Goff, despite his inconsistency, is more established than rookie Caleb Williams, who is still learning the speed of the professional game. At the skill positions, the Lions boast a strong backfield led by Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, while Amon-Ra St. Brown remains one of the league's most reliable receivers. Chicago has depth at wide receiver and 2 dangerous tight ends, but it is fair to call this category even at best. The offensive lines for both teams are also works in progress, with the Bears surprisingly showing flashes of cohesion in the opener. Defensively, the Lions have the game's top lineman in Aiden Hutchinson, but the Bears counters with young emerging talents like Jervin Dexter and the presence of Montez Sweat. The linebacker battle depends heavily on health, with Jack Campbell and TJ Edwards both question marks. In the secondary, is a wash if everyone is healthy, though Detroit's safeties might hold a slight edge. Special teams, however, were a disaster for Chicago in Week 1, so Detroit clearly takes that category. If the Bears want to shock the Lions in their own building, several keys stand out. First, the running game must come alive. Last week, Chicago finished dead last in rushing efficiency across the league, a brutal stat considering this team needs balance to help its young quarterback. DeAndre Swift was bottled up, and without a consistent ground attack, Caleb Williams was left to force throws under pressure. That cannot happen again. Handing the ball off not only calms the offense, but also controls the tempo, shortens the game, and keeps Goff off the field. This week offers a better chance because Detroit's front did not exactly dominate against Green Bay. Speaking of Williams, accuracy is the other glaring area that must improve. After opening 10 for 10, he fell apart down the stretch, finishing 11 for his final 25 throws. Too many clean pocket misses, including the baffling fourth down misfire to DJ Moore. Those issues, according to both Williams and Johnson, stem from footwork. The mechanics must sharpen because in the NFL, you do not get away with repeated wasted plays. A 65% completion target is realistic, and that is the mark Chicago needs from its rookie passer. Incremental growth each week is the goal, but the Bears cannot afford another game filled with routine misses. On the defensive side, the interior line has to dominate. Green Bay exposed Detroit's new-look interior line in Week 1, stuffing the run and pressuring Goff from middle. Replicating that formula is essential. Andrew Billings must hold his ground. Dexter has to keep ascending, and if Jarrett cannot go, others must step up. Limiting Gibbs and Montgomery on the ground forces Detroit to become one-dimensional, and once Goff has moved off his spot, he is far less effective. His lack of mobility means pressure up the middle often leads to mistakes or sacks. That is how the Bears can flip the field and give their offense extra chances. Another emphasis has to be discipline. 5 pre-snap penalties last week, including 4 false starts in the first half, killed drives and made life miserable. That cannot continue, especially on the road in a loud dome. Communication is key, and using a silent count might actually help reduce those miscues. But whether it is simplifying calls or just focusing more, the Bears must avoid self-inflicted wounds. Giving away free yards against a team like Detroit is the fastest way to bury yourself. Finally, the coaching battle matters. Detroit's staff is adjusting with 2 brand-new coordinators, while Chicago's play-calling brain trust is more seasoned. Out-scheming the Lions is possible, and Johnson knows their personnel better than anyone. He can draw up mismatches, disguise looks, and force their inexperienced coordinators to react. When you're facing a roster that might be more talented top to bottom, sometimes winning the chess match is the difference between a close loss and a statement victory. The spotlight in this matchup inevitably shifts back to Caleb Williams, because the quarterback position is where the Bears' fortunes will rise or fall. No one expects perfection from a rookie, but the inconsistencies in Week 1 showed exactly why patience and development must go hand in hand with urgency. When Williams was on rhythm early, the offense looked sharp, efficient, and capable of marching down the field with ease. Yet as the game wore on, the footwork issues and lapses in timing turned promising drives into wasted possessions. Against Detroit, the margin for error shrinks even further. The Lions' defense may have been exposed by Green Bay, but that does not mean they lack talent. With Aiden Hutchinson constantly disrupting off the edge, Williams will have to process quickly, stay calm, and deliver with precision. Chicago cannot afford stretches where the passing game sputters into nothing. If the Bears are going to walk into Ford Field and leave with a victory, Williams has to showcase both resilience and growth in his second start. This week also provides a measuring stick for the Bears' offensive line. While they showed flashes of stability in the opener, too many plays still broke down before they could develop. Silent counts and communication will be tested in one of the loudest environments in football. Detroit fans have turned Ford Field into a cauldron, and the energy only multiplies when a former Lion like Ben Johnson returns wearing enemy colors. That noise will make it difficult for the line to get off the ball cleanly, and it will magnify the need for discipline. One false start can ruin a drive, and last week proved just how costly those penalties can be. This is where veterans must set the tone, keeping composure in the chaos and ensuring that Williams has at least a chance to operate without constant disruption. The Bears' defense enters this game with both opportunity and pressure. They saw firsthand last week how quickly momentum can vanish when execution falters late. The task now is to flip the narrative by dictating tempo from the opening series through the final whistle. Detroit will attempt to reestablish its ground game with Gibbs and Montgomery, and stopping that tandem has to be priority one. Green Bay showed the formula: penetration up the middle, shedding blocks, and forcing Goff to carry the load. Chicago's front must replicate that performance, which means Dexter and Billings have to be difference makers, and Montez Sweat has to win his one-on-one battles on the edge. If the run is controlled, the secondary will have a chance to settle in and focus on limiting St. Brown, who thrives on short and intermediate routes. The Bears' cornerbacks, if healthy, can match up well, but only if the front seven does its job first. Beyond the tactical battles lies the emotional weight of this contest. Ben Johnson returning to Detroit adds a layer of theater that cannot be ignored. His system is the very one that helped elevate the Lions into contenders, and now he brings that knowledge to the Bears. He has downplayed the storyline publicly, insisting his focus is on finding Chicago's first win. But even he admits that Ford Field has become one of the toughest places to play. His former players have already circled this date, making it clear they will not roll out the red carpet. That energy will be aimed squarely at Johnson, and by extension, his new team. For Chicago, rallying around their head coach in that hostile environment could serve as fuel. Winning for him on that field will be a statement that the Bears are not a rebuilding project waiting for years down the road, but a competitor right now. Still, it would be foolish to underestimate the pride and determination of Dan Campbell's group. They have been through too much over the past few seasons to let one poor showing define them. Campbell has built a locker room full of fighters who respond to adversity, and nothing motivates a team more than protecting its home turf against a division rival. The Lions know the Bears will come in desperate, but they also know they themselves cannot afford to slip to 0-2. The urgency is mutual, which is why this game has the feel of an early season playoff test. It is about who executes cleaner, who makes fewer mistakes, and who responds better when momentum swings. That brings everything back to discipline and finishing. Chicago learned the hard way against Minnesota that dominating for stretches means nothing if you cannot seal the deal in the fourth quarter. To reverse that trend, the Bears must cut down the mental mistakes, clean up the execution, and trust their playmakers in crunch time. DJ Moore cannot be missed on pivotal downs. The running game cannot disappear after the first quarter. The defense cannot allow lapses that lead to quick scores. These are the details that separate good teams from those still searching for their identity. For the Bears, this is a chance to take a step toward proving they belong in the former category. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In what could become one of the NFL's most intriguing moves of the offseason, whispers around the league suggest that cornerback Sauce Gardner is set to ink a 3-year deal with the Chicago Bears. While neither the team nor the players' representatives have made an official announcement, sources close to the matter claim negotiations have been progressing rapidly and a formal agreement could be imminent. Gardner, known for his lockdown coverage and uncanny ability to read quarterbacks, would bring a transformative presence to the Bears' secondary, which has struggled to contain explosive passing attacks in recent seasons. His potential arrival has already set social media ablaze, with fans speculating how his addition could reshape Chicago's defensive schemes and possibly elevate them into playoff contention sooner than expected. Industry insiders note that the move, if completed, would be a clear signal from the Bears' front office that they are serious about bolstering their defense with top-tier talent. Gardner, who has quickly made a name for himself as one of the most promising young cornerbacks in the league, reportedly drew interest from multiple teams. Yet, The Bears' combination of coaching staff, defensive vision, and market appeal may have given them the edge in this highly competitive pursuit. While details regarding contract structure and financial terms remain murky, the three-year framework suggests a medium-term commitment that could allow Gardner to develop alongside emerging talent in Chicago's secondary, while maintaining flexibility for both player and team. Analysts are already speculating how head coach and defensive coordinator might deploy Gardner, potentially pairing him against the league's elite receivers and freeing up other defensive backs to play more aggressively. As the rumor mill heats up, fans are left to imagine a Bears defense with Gardner patrolling the field, a unit that could finally live up to the city's storied football legacy. Even without confirmation, the chatter has sparked a renewed sense of optimism in Chicago, a city long accustomed to enduring rebuilding years. If Gardner does officially sign, it would mark a bold statement. The Bears are serious about competing, and they're willing to make waves to do it. With free agency in full swing and rumors swirling, all eyes will remain on Chicago, waiting for the official word that could turn speculation into one of the season's most talked about stories. Until then, the mere possibility of Sauce Gardner in navy and orange has already given fans something to cheer about and to debate at every corner of the Windy City. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.